today, I'd like to dedicate my time to my grandchildren and the Ontario they will inherit. John's already done the land acknowledgement, but let's just take a moment of silence to reflect on what it means to be stewards of land and to honor our treaties and our promises. First, I think it's really important to recognize that Bill 23 is not about housing. The Ontario Affordable Housing Task Force said, quote, "The shortage of land isn't the cause of the problem. Land is available both inside the existing built-up areas and on undeveloped land outside Greenbelt." And again, it said, "Governments have invested billions of dollars in highways, light rail, buses, subways, and trains in Ontario. But without ensuring more people can live close to those transit routes, we're not getting the best return on those infrastructure investments." It includes ideas like upzoning to fourplexes on any single family lots, regenerating ground sites in currently serviced urban areas. Strong communities contain places to live, to play, and to work within walking distance, not sprawl that requires cars and new roads. To really address the housing crisis, we need the federal, provincial, and municipal governments working together to build affordable housing inside existing boundaries of urban areas. Not turning rich developers loose to sprawl into the Greenbelt and across the province onto farmlands, wetlands, and wildlands. In 1972, as a young hired hand, I hitchhiked across Canada looking for somewhere to farm. I hitchhiked down to Nova Scotia and then back through New Brunswick and Quebec, across Ontario, up through Northern Ontario, across Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, into British Columbia, and up into the Yukon. And I can tell you, Canada has a lot of land, but it doesn't have a lot of class 1 and 2 good farmland. Southern Ontario is a remarkable place. It's a place where you can grow anything that you can grow in Canada. And it's a place where we can grow fruit and vegetables as well as our regular field crops. So we need to protect not only the bread basket, but the fruit basket and the vegetable basket, not just of Ontario, but of Canada. And we expect a Minister of Agriculture to protect farmland and our food security, not pave it over to enrich a handful of wealthy land developers. But Bill 23 impacts foodland and farmland and habitat and biodiversity and local planning control. But it's also going to have an impact on your insurance premiums and your taxes, because poor planning that fails to consider water and flooding risk will increase all our costs. Some of us indirectly in terms of our insurance premiums, but for some of us very directly in terms of personal property damage and the lost treasures you can never reclaim when floodwaters enter your house or destroy it. Sprawling into our farms, our wetlands, and our wildlands further reduces the water holding capacity of our watersheds. And this will make severe weather events that more damaging and costly. This is terrible planning. This is not planning. This is greed in action. In addition, bringing this in as an omnibus bill makes it an attack on democracy, because there's a lack of meaningful consideration and debate and the ability for opposition to put forward propositions or to question or to suggest alternatives. And a public consultation that took place while the municipal councils were in an election or not yet been in place after the election also means that the people on the ground in our communities who are elected to represent us had very limited opportunity to say about their concerns and the ways that this act impinges on them. And the Strong Mayors Act component that lets a mayor and 1/3 of the council members overrule the other 2/3 is another direct attack on democracy. Yes. So as we gather here today to protest and to call for the repeal of Bill 23, we recognize that it is an attack on our democracy and our communities. It's an attack on the environment, and it's an attack on sound planning and an attack on our economy. It will make a few wealthy developers that much richer while doing nothing to address affordable housing and saddling the public, that's us, the taxpayers, with the cost of additional roads and surfaces made excessively expensive by sprawling into our farmland, our wetlands, and our wildlands. I'd like to end with a quote from the Lorax by Dr. Seuss. My 2.5-year-old granddaughter loves it. I'm not sure she's happy with the storyline completely because it's a story of greed and its destruction of the environment. But in the final pages, Dr. Seuss holds out a little glimmer of hope as the person who did all that destruction says, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. And I'm very sorry if Doug Ford's mother didn't read him Dr. Seuss in the Lorax when he was a kid. I thought if I knew how to do podcasts or all these other things that younger people know how to do, I was going to read this out loud and dedicate it as a bedtime story for Doug Ford. But I share it with you today, and certainly encourage you to read it to your children and grandchildren, and maybe somebody will get it to Doug Ford. But I do have a question. When we say, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better, it's not. Given the degree to which this government is attacking so many things on so many fronts with this legislation, as I said, it's attacking local control and planning, it's attacking the environment, it's attacking the way democracy works in Ontario. So I do wonder, is it time for a general strike? Is it time to show this premier that the people of Ontario are not going to stand for a government that puts the interests of wealthy land developers ahead of the people, their communities, and their environment? So I ask you today, if nothing's going to get better unless we all do a whole awful lot, is it time for a general strike? Thank you, my friends, for coming out on this beautiful day.
Tony.